Hello, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really enjoying reading what's coming up in the chat right now about how people are feeling. I feel like it's so wonderful to be able to share that in this space together. Whether you're feeling, I saw one that said tired but curious, another that said grateful, tired but fantastic, feeling relaxed, calm. It's great. It's wonderful to kind of get the pulse of the room and how people are feeling since we're not physically together right now. Welcome back to Virtual Evenings for Educators. I know a lot of you were here last week. I recognize quite a few names and faces. For those of you who do not know me yet, my name is Laura Schilling and I'm the Teacher Programs Coordinator at LACMA. I like to do a little self-description when I start so that folks with low vision or folks who are blind can kind of know what's happening in the frame. So if you're wondering why I do it, that's why. So I'll say that I am a fair-skinned white woman with curly blonde hair. I have blue eyes. I'm wearing kind of like a textured silvery tank top today and some gold necklaces. And I'm sitting in front of some white closet doors that are hiding lots of junk. So welcome again to Evenings for Educators, Art, Resilience, and Healing. This is a 4-part virtual series taking place last week and this week. And many of you know that we do 4 of these programs a year. We'll have another one in December, one in February, and one in April. And I'll share a little more information about the December program in just a little bit. As far as accessibility goes today, we have live captions available throughout the program. So please click live transcript on the toolbar at the bottom of your screen and then show subtitle if you'd like to view those. And we also have tech support today. My colleague Susie Castillo is here, and if you have any questions at all, you can send her a direct message and she's going to come on real quick and just say hello so you'll know who she is.
Hi everyone, I'm Susie Castillo. I'm a fair-skinned Latina woman with short dark hair and glasses. Today everything has a bit of a purple haze. I'm wearing a red shirt and a black apron. But if y'all have any questions, please send a message to me directly. That makes it a lot easier for me to see them. And I'll do my best to help y'all out.
Thank you. There we go. I just got muted. Thank you, Susie. I saw that some of you shared land acknowledgements in the chat already. Thank you so much for doing that. If you're not sure whose ancestral lands you are on, this is a great opportunity to do that research and find out. There's so many wonderful and just amazing tribes whose ancestral lands are in these areas. So I'd like to share a land acknowledgement from my current residence, which is on occupied Tongva land in South Los Angeles. LACMA respectfully acknowledges that the lands on which our museum is built and the region that we serve is the ancestral and unceded territories of the Gabrielino Tongva, Gabrielino Keats, Fernandino Tataviam, and Ventureño Chumash peoples. Los Angeles County has been and is home to many indigenous peoples. So for this Evenings for Educators program, we were kind of thinking back to our program last year on social emotional learning and thinking about kind of the toll that the pandemic has taken on our students. And we worked with art teacher Sydney Snyder, who spoke last week, to identify resilience as kind of a core capability that can help students process and move on from the events of the last year and a half in a healthy way, and also weather kind of the ongoing and newer challenges that they might be currently facing. So we have one more workshop taking place on Thursday. We hope that you'll join us for that. Susie's going to share a document in the chat right now that contains the registration link for that workshop, as well as a lot of other resources, a link to sign up for our mailing list, also a promo code for you and a guest to visit the museum for free. This is like really, really exciting to have this promo code. This is not something we had in the past, so we really, really want you to make use of it. And we also have a link in there to our curricular resources, which we create for each and every one of these Evenings for Educators programs. And a quick word about salary point credit. If you're participating for LAUSD salary point credit or just professional development hours in general, just make sure you fill out the survey that's going to go out at the end of the program today. So in the last 5 minutes, we'll put a survey in the chat, and please just fill it out and make sure to give us your contact information at the bottom so we can track your attendance. The next thing I want to share, there's been a lot of buzz about it, you might have already heard, but the Obama portraits are coming to Los Angeles. and they will be on view at LACMA from November 7th to January 2nd, alongside a companion exhibition called Black American Portraits. And we're planning some really great programs for you around the Obama portraits and Black American portrait shows. The first is a special workshop for teachers led by educators from the National Portrait Gallery in Washington, D.C. And this is on the Obama portrait specifically. Capacity is limited on this one, so sign up sooner rather than later. I think capacity is like 70 or 75. So that registration link is in the document as well. And we also have another educator speaker series program on November 10th. I'm sure some of you were there for the September program with Flavia Suniga West. This time we'll be joined by artist and educator Ada Pinkston, who will be talking about her LACMA Snapchat project on historic Angelino Biddy Mason. And finally, closing out our suite of programs on these two landmark exhibitions, the December Evenings for Educators program will take a close look at these shows with a lecture by Dr. Liz Andrews, two hands-on workshops with LACMA teaching artists, and then you'll see that on December 7th, we are having a really special open house opportunity for teachers. Some partner schools might be there too, so there will be some students and teachers mixing together. It's going to be just a really beautiful evening where we'll have extended opening hours and you can come and see the Obama portraits and the Black American portraits exhibitions. We are not advertising this event on our website. This is only going to go out through email, so make sure that you're on our mailing list to get those communications. And I think the email for that will probably go out around mid-November, so keep an eye out for it then. We'd love to see you at our upcoming programs. I know that was kind of a whirlwind, but check out our teacher programs page. The document in the chat also has all the info you need. You can look at that later on. And if you have any other questions, just don't hesitate to send me a private message. I'm here to be a resource for you. So now I'm going to introduce today's teaching artist, Katy Unger, who's going to be leading this fantastic I'm going to give away a little bit of the workshop, a fantastic sculpture workshop, I would say, called Pieced Together. Katy received her Bachelor of Fine Arts degree from the Pacific Northwest College of Art in Portland, Oregon. She experiments with processes in painting, mixed media, and video art, and currently divides her time between creating in her home studio and working as an arts educator for LACMA. As a teaching artist, she is committed to making the arts an accessible resource for individuals and organizations throughout Los Angeles and providing meaningful connections between art, the environment, and community. Thanks so much for being here with us, Katy. I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Laura, for the introduction and for everybody here this evening to join us in this workshop. Again, my name is Katy. I am a white woman. I have short hair that's currently back in a ponytail. I've got some dangly earrings for the occasion and wearing a white shirt. And I'm sitting in front of a rather empty shelf with some orange flowers and some half-finished art projects that I need to get back to. So yeah, so thank you all for being here, and please feel free to use the chat as we go along. For this workshop, we are going to be focused on the connections between art and words, language, and we're going to be talking about how materials in art can be used to express ideas and also kind of reflect ourselves. And so I'll show you the materials that we're going to work on in the next slide. So the materials that we're going to be using are materials from home. So these are recycled materials in your category of choice. So we have cardboard, we've got fabric, plastic, and metal, which can be foil, wire, and you really don't need a lot. So it's good to try to keep it in the category, but like, you know, you can start with a few pieces of cardboard, or if you've got some fabric, scraps, plastic. And another thing we'll want to have is scissors. So ideally what you have can be cut with scissors, a paper and pencil. And lastly, you want to have some materials for binding. So there's some examples at the top, but you know, you can kind of mix and match them just dependent on the material you're using. So you can use, you know, rubber bands, tape, safety pins, even thumbtacks are come to use for this stuff. And I'll be showing you kind of different ways you can find the materials. The other thing I want to say is that this is really not about finishing something today. It's really about just the process of kind of exploring different materials. So next slide. So these are some ways that this lesson can be kind of expanded on and integrated into other areas of learning. So this specific lesson will be focused more on English language arts and, you know, engineering, talking about the properties of matter, density, color, weight, volume, that kind of thing. But, you know, something to think about, you know, social emotional learning. Students can reflect on how art can be influenced by their own perceptions and experiences. Social studies consider how works of art can communicate the ideas and philosophies of the culture it represents. So really, as we go, you can kind of think about, you know, your grade level and just kind of scaffolding it to meet that that grade level. So I'm going to show you some of the keywords that we're going to be looking at in the next slide. So repurposed art is art that refers to creating something that has a prior use. So if you're working with, you know, younger students, you could say just recycling, you know, that could be a good, this could be a good topic to talk about recycling. But repurposed art can be functional, it can be decorative, and it can also be used to make a statement. So for instance, if it's functional, it could be like making a bench out of recycled parts, like old skis or something. Or if it were decorative, in this example, you know, this is a flower out of an egg carton. Or if you're making a statement, it could be, you know, something like you're using plastic bottles to make an ocean wave or something like representing the ocean to comment on ocean pollution. So it's a very kind of general term that's basically creating work out of recycled parts. And then the next definition is materiality. So materiality is, and with younger students, you could just talk about materials, you know, just talk about works of different materials and works of art. But this is a good word that, you know, is interesting because it really is, materiality is really different than materialism or materialistic. They have really different definitions. So might be a good kind of like introducing this word to your students and just kind of see what they think of this word and what it might mean. But materiality in art refers to the material qualities of an artwork and how they are sensed, understood, and interpreted. And so these are the main areas of focus, the two keywords we're going to focus on most. So we're going to start just kind of taking some time to look at this art, and feel free to use the chat. This artwork is called Translated Vase. It's by a South Korean artist named Yeesookyung. And before we talk more about her work, I would just start with kind of looking at the form of the artwork and kind of considering kind of the overall form, and perhaps thinking about what words come to mind in terms of this form, how you would describe this form in a word. Katie, ball, earth. So I'm just reading the chat. Yeah. It's kind of thinking about not only the form. I like that because it's not only the form, but what that form represents to you. Moon, organic. And as you're thinking about the form and kind of thinking about the symbolism of that form, oh, I like these chats coming in, piece together, harmony together, ceramic quilt. That's really interesting. Wow. Yeah, and actually that comment of ceramic quilt. So so now you can also start kind of zooming in and thinking about the materials as well. So thinking about the forms, the materials, you know, what they might be made of, how they're pieced together. Solid and heavy. So you're thinking about kind of, yeah, you're thinking about these like properties of, does it have mass? Is it hollow? Is it maybe hollow, fragile? So you're thinking about the form, you're thinking about the materials, and then you can start thinking if you put these two together. So if this work of art could, you know, be a symbol of something or represent something to you, be a metaphor, considering how it's kind of pieced together, considering the form, you know, for you personally, what are some things that come to mind for you personally when just looking at this form and looking at these materials and the structure of the materials? Fractured planet, wow. Hollow, void, solid and heavy, substantial, compressed, putting things back together, broken but together, imperfect. Love these. I got goosebumps. It's great. So I want to read to you a quote from the artist herself. Now, kind of talking about her process and talking about the materials and the metaphor for her work. So she says, a broken ceramic piece finds another piece and they rely on each other. The crack, which symbolizes the wound, is emphasized with gold. This work can be a metaphor for a struggle for life that makes people become more mature and beautiful as they overcome suffering. Korean traditional ceramic masters break almost 70% of the product that don't reach the standards of masterpieces. So I put the broken bits and pieces of ceramic trash together one by one as if I'm putting together a jigsaw puzzle. And I cover the seams with 24-karat gold leaf to emphasize the crack. And then she says, in Korea, the word for crack is also the same for gold. So she's kind of talking about these dual meanings and like merging them together in one work of art as a symbol for overcoming suffering. And so if we go to the next slide. So this kind of ties back to this idea of resilience. And when you look at these definitions, what do you notice about? What do you notice in reading this definition here? There are two dual meanings. One of them refers to the materiality, the materials, and one of them refers to like a quality, a personal quality. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing for this lesson. We're going to be thinking about both. We're thinking about the materials, and we're also going to be kind of tying that together with a personal quality and coming up with a word that ties it all together. So I'm going to move over to the materials here. So what we're going to be doing next is kind of, so whatever, first of all, do y'all kind of have some materials to work with already? And if not, you know, feel free to gather some. So pieces of cardboard, really kind of any category of choice you want to work with. Cardboard, some pieces of fabric. It could be, you know, an old cloth, dishcloth, towel, and you really don't need much to start with. Pieces of plastic, or in terms of the metal, you can use foil, wire. This is from an old journal that I just took out the binder for it. And what we're going to do is just kind of spend some time with the materials you have and thinking about their physical properties. What words would you describe them? Like what adjectives? This is if you're working with younger kids, you know, talk about just adjectives. How would you describe these materials? Are they strong? Are they smooth? Are they colorful? Are they reflective? Start thinking about that. And as you're thinking about that, kind of think about a quality that also describes you. As you're thinking about the material qualities, have that word in your mind, and then think about a quality that describes you, maybe, or something that is meaningful to you. Maybe it's a quality you currently have or desire, or a quality you'd like to see more in society, or just reflecting on your past year. So I'm just gonna like put some examples down here. And you can just come up with, your own word. You feel free to use any of these, but these are just some words came up with, and just kind of, take some time with your materials for a minute, and just, are they rough? Are they bendable? Are they unbreakable? Are they shiny? Let's see if you can come up with a word both describes your materials and a kind of personal quality that has meaning to you. And please let me know if y'all need some time to gather some materials. Not sure if you already have them. So I have a few different categories here, but yeah, choose one. Whether it's plastic, cardboard. I mean, even wood could be another material. I was trying to think of ones that you can cut with scissors, just so you can interact with it a bit more. And once you come up with your word, so let's say I come up with one of these words. If you have time, or if you have access, see if you can look up the definition for it. Again, see if it can be both relate to the material qualities and a personal quality or trait.
Okay.
And feel free to share also in the chat your word. And if you need to run and grab some materials from recycling bin, or again, you could start with just a couple pieces. And then see if you can look up that definition. Write it down somewhere with a piece of paper, pencil. Write it down, pretty small, somewhere that you can reference. But you might be including this in your artwork. So just write it down with the definition. You can always rewrite it after. And once you start thinking about this word you're coming up to, kind of sensing, again with materiality, you're sensing, you're interpreting, you're understanding the materials that you have, you're thinking about their qualities, thinking of adjectives to describe them. Then you can kind of start the next step, which is thinking about the form. So thinking about, what does the form look like? Focusing on that word. If your word is flexible, what does a form look like? Does it have volume? Is it meant to hang? Is it meant to stand? So start thinking about the form as well. And I'm just going to start showing you some examples of ways you can kind of bind these materials with different types of, whether it's tape, you can use rubber bands, whatever you have. Obviously with, you know, cardboard, and if you have ideas, add them to the chat too. Cardboard, you know, you can use tape, right? Masking tape is a great one for cardboard, but you can also try using something like rubber bands where, let's say I, you know, wanted to put these two together and then tie a rubber band around it. Suddenly they're together. Now let's say I wanted to hide that rubber band. You can wrap, layer, twist, tie. Put that in a tape. Now this form can be completely abstract, right? This is not meant to be representational. It's really just kind of going off of that word. So thinking about layering with cardboard, fabric, plastic. Another thing that I think is important with this is it's not, the idea of this isn't to look, to make something that looks, you know, pleasing to the eye. It's really more about the concept, the idea behind it, and just exploring, you know, your materials and different ways you can create, you know, how do you create volume out of pieces of fabric? You could tie them together, you could braid them. You could twist, tie knots. Already created some density out of this fabric. Keep going and going. You could create a whole kind of dense ball with fabric by just tying and twisting and adding knots. Plastic. One of the things I just found out that when I was playing around with plastic is using thumbtacks and kind of twisting the plastic, holding it together with thumbtacks. And if you have an eraser, you can like plug the end with the eraser to hold it in place. Another thing, whether it's cardboard or plastic, is cutting it and then cutting slits. So seeing if like maybe you don't need any other kind of binding material. And you can build it up. You can build up height and add dimension. Old egg cartons. You can twist into coils, create forms, add layers and texture. It's just building and building upon using the same material and experimenting. And then lastly, with metal, foil is so thin, right? And delicate, but what if you were to fold it, fold it, fold it, and then if you kind of twist it, it becomes stronger, almost like wire. That makes it really strong. And you can create armatures out of wire or foil just by kind of twisting it together like that, adding foil on top. So with that said, I'm just going to let you kind of start to put a form together using these materials, kind of thinking about that word. Plastic cups. Another thing is that this lesson, you know, this doesn't have to be in English either. This could think about words in other languages. I think of the word claro in Spanish that's has kind of dual meanings of being about, you know, light and transparency, as well as you know, clear in the mind, balance. So what you're going to do, and again, just to say again, this is certainly not, this is all about process. This isn't about having a completed piece at all. You can take that definition that you came up with to begin with. So let's take this. So this is pretty big, just so you can see it. So I could kind of merge these two together, these two different meanings into one. I could you know, flexibility versus flexible. You could do strong or strength. You could do clear or clarity. It's really up to you. Once you have this definition, you can kind of like rework the words or combine the definitions if you want. And then you're going to put that definition somewhere in your art. So you can write it down and attach it to your art. Now, if you want to, for instance, if my word was flexible or flexibility, and I want to take that, you could just not even include the word and just have the definition. It's really up to you how you incorporate that definition into your art. Oh, and I just want to say that Susie just added the slideshow, so you can share your work. Again, you know, this is process based. It's not about having a completed picture. Maybe you just share the word, or maybe that you wrote down, or maybe you show the materials, or just a part of your process that you can share in that slideshow. So you can click on the link in the chat. And then we'll do about 5 more minutes, and then we can go into breakout rooms. Another thing with plastic, if it's clear, you can also add, if you want to add color to it, you could add, you could color with markers on top of it, and that makes for some really, you know, if you layer it, it adds depth, color. So the basic idea here, you know, is we all have, you know, tend to have, you know, at least I do, cardboard and, you know, plastic that goes in the recycling bin, and, you know, students could bring this from home, or you could save it, bring it into the classroom. And I love that idea of just kind of like throwing it in the middle of a table and then, you know, collecting. This is repurposing. It's about how do we repurpose these materials into works of art and also have them be kind of meaningful to ourselves. All right, so let's see, is everybody back? Oh, that's so cool. Bracelet made of plastic produce bag and carton tops. Or repetition makes me think of persistence. Wow. Wow. Oh, carton. No carton
Lids, isn't it
tops.
lids?
Lids, yeah. Oh, the little
Like on the top of ketchup bottles or something. That have two parts, I think.
That's really interesting too, because to make it wearable art
I love
as well.
it. Very creative.
Super creative. Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. Oh, so this is, oh, paper. Oh, creating form out of, is this all one piece of paper?
Yes. So this is what was near me, and I'm sick today, so I didn't want to get up.
I love that. I love that. What's near you?
I chose your word, flexible. Anyway, it's fun to just like with my fingernails punch holes and stick paper in them. So
yeah, did you use is it tape or?
No, it's just pieces of paper that are stuck into punched
into
holes.
Itself?
Yeah, into itself. Yeah.
Wow.
And then the flexible part is written all along the insides.
That's awesome. I love that you just used a single piece of paper. Wow. Amazing.
Thanks.
Amazing. Oh, wrapping.
That's me.
Wow.
I just went with the feeling of the cloth. It was warm and it made me feel like a high temperature. And I
Cozy.
Spanish because
Cozy.
I am Mexican, and so I went with cálido, warm, and it just made me want to make a huge piece.
Yeah,
I said this one, but it was like I wanted to make a huge one.
Keep exactly that. But I feel like that feeling of just kind of wrapping and what you're talking about. Yeah, it's also a really that physical.
And also thinking about what was inside. I was thinking that this was a cocoon and something was going to come out of it, and it was going to surprise me.
Cocoon. That's really interesting. Wow. Thank you for sharing.
Ooh.
Interesting form. I'd love to hear about this one.
Okay, all right, you made me do it.
or other comments. Have to be you.
No, well, so I love the foil, I love the reflection, and that was my sort of thing. But then it's like I didn't want to use a whole lot of foil because I'm like really cheap, and so I wrapped it around a toilet paper roll and a wad of paper, and then you made the cool armature thing. And so I added that, and I thought, oh, then you could start drawing lines and start using line with the foil, and so started going off.
That's a really interesting idea of like using other materials to fill it to create.
Right, the wrapping of it, and I love just the reflective and crinkled quality. I love the malleability of it. So I couldn't just keep to one word.
That's another great word, malleability.
It is. It's
Yeah.
just so much fun.
Mm.
It feels good on your hands when you're doing that.
And I have to say, the foil sculptures from a previous LACMA workshop were really wonderful, and that really got me into using it with 3D students.
Excellent. That's great to hear. Yeah, I'm also curious in terms of the breakout rooms, just your feeling of kind of adapting it to different subject areas or grade levels. That's wow. What are we looking at here? Paper.
One, there was shiny paper in the trash can near me. So my thought was to unfold the paper to look like a flower, and then I had a dry cleaning receipt. I left out the middle that it almost looks like a dessert. But
Oh my god.
that wasn't my intention, but that's just
like something edible. Yeah. What does that say? Yeah, it's I love that idea of too, because a part of, you know, thinking about materials is like, oh, I gotta collect all these materials, but just finding what you have beside you. Yeah, that's excellent. Wow.
I just wanted to let folks know that in case you have to jump off a little early, the survey link is in the chat now. So please let us know what you thought of the workshop, and if you're participating for salary point or professional development hours, make sure you fill that out. Susie has put the link in the chat. Thanks everybody for coming. I'll turn it back to you, Katie.
Yeah, so it looks like we have a few more minutes, and if there's any other slides or any other, you know, comments anyone wants to make about it. And
Is that okay?
what's that?
I would like one I made. It's not a slide. I have to just show it to you.
Yes, there's two going on, two amazing ones at the same time. Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, wow.
That's not me. What are?
Let's
I
see.
don't know. Oh,
So
this is me. Is that what you're looking at?
I'm looking at two works of art at the same time. So in the
okay.
slide, let's start with the slide.
Yeah,
capable of being bent, flexible.
Very cool.
Very cool. Very cool. It looks like you took the word out, which makes it really interesting too. Yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Oh, this one, the 2020?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was funny because I bought this planner right before the pandemic, and little did I realize like this would be happening. So when I created this project, I was like, oh, you know, there's so many changes that's been happening, and we're hit a lot, especially as educators and frontliners. So I was like, being bent, flexed, or twisted without breaking seems to be like a theme, and here we are.
Yes.
Hopefully it doesn't last till 24, but I just thought it was coincidental.
Yep. Wow. Amazing. Wow,
Oh, it's held together by a string. So like, hang on.
Right?
Just like life.
Yeah. Yep. Beautiful. Beautiful message, and just sharing that experience in your work.
Thanks.
Memories of string. Wow. Oh. Love to hear about this one.
So I was thinking of, I don't know, I was thinking of the ball of like the rocks and the aluminum. I did the same thing. I put the aluminum over a ball of paper. And then I brought a bunch of toothpicks, and then I found a mesh. It was like there's only one avocado left, so I put it inside, and then I started thinking of poking it with toothpicks, and it looks like the virus.
Oh yes! Wow. I was gonna say this. It's a very interesting form. Wow. Did that happen through the process, or did it just kind of like?
It happened through the process.
Yeah.
I didn't have it in my head to do that. It became that.
Yeah. That's what's it's so great about just the process as the ideas come as you go. Incredible.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Well, looks like we're
I still
out of time.
haven't had a chance to show mine. Is that
Oh yeah,
okay?
let's see.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, let's put it in the
Everybody else is so much more abstract. I'm kind of a literal person. But this
oh.
this is made out of candy wrappers. And you know, it'll be filled in with the other colors too, but for right now, I'm just doing the letters.
Wow, I love that contrast. Yeah, seeing the contrast between the letters and just how they
Yeah,
like jump off the page.
I had to do something with those. I can't stand to throw anything away, so I recycle a lot.
Great. All right. Well, just Lara, did you have anything to say before?
Just wanted to
Close
thank
out?
everybody
Yeah.
for coming out this evening and participating in the workshop. It was very, very cool to see the way that like language and materials came together in this, and everybody's creations were really spectacular.
Well, thank you all so much for coming and just sharing your work. It was incredible. It was just, I didn't know what to expect if people would, you know, just how much you created in such a limited amount of time, and your concepts behind it were incredible. So thank you all so much.